Well, good morning and welcome to Coffee Chat with David and Kylie Knight.
Hey, I'm so glad you were joining us. Today is Friday, March the 12th, 2021.
It is.
Yeah.
Yay, here we are.
Here we are.
Well, hey guys, we appreciate you joining us this morning. If you're here, be sure to use the hashtag HelloNights or hashtag CupOfAwesome. Let us know you're hanging out with us.
Exactly.
And we will make sure to throw those up on the screen. Hey, look at that.
And if you are watching YouTube, be sure to click that little bell so you get notifications when another one comes up, or subscribe button, or just join us live on Facebook every Friday at 10 a.m. Central or 11 a.m. Eastern.
Exactly. And we have Joshua Kohler and Joshua. We have the Joshuas in the house today.
We do. We always love it when we
Kohler.
have you guys here. Thank you.
St. John hanging out. And did you guys notice anything special? Ooh.
Yes, Josh, you noticed a fancy new intro too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he likes it.
Trying fun new things today.
Right.
Yes, and we are in our new home, which we'll be talking about in just a moment.
And new coffee mugs.
New coffee mugs. It's a whole new day here in the Knight household.
Day.
It is a great day. And also be sure to like and share, because sharing is caring, as they like to say.
And they do want to be sharing today's.
Oh my goodness, today's going to be rocking.
I am completely
I'm
stoked
about today.
So excited.
I still have to pinch myself that he agreed to do this.
I know, right?
So,
happiest place on earth.
I know it is. By the way, we want to welcome or give a shout out to our what's the word I'm looking for? Our sponsors.
Oh yes, please.
Because people always wonder, who are we drinking? Well, here we go. That's right. Today's coffee is sponsored by Ko-fi.
Ko-fi,
the best coffee on earth.
It really is.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah,
we're very, very thankful. So thank you, Ko-fi.
We appreciate you. So hey, let's catch people up. 2 weeks ago, we had our Sherry Bronson show, which was a pre-recorded show, which was really good because we had a whole ton of stuff take place.
Yes. Yeah, we did.
You remember that? That was a long ago time.
It feels like longer than that. It's kind of weird.
But anyway, so we moved to a new apartment in the DFW area still. Should I tell them about the
water?
The water?
Sure.
Okay.
Fun story.
So if you follow the news at all, Dallas recently went through a huge snowstorm. Most snow, I think, in 100 years or something. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Broken pipes. Power was out.
Guys.
We talked about it a little bit on the show. We survived unscathed. No problems, right?
We didn't have power outages.
Nope, no
we didn't have water.
None of that.
Issues during the storm.
We were fine.
Wait for it.
About a week later,
yes,
we came home to an apartment that had no power.
We did. Just for a couple of hours, thankfully.
Yeah.
One of our neighbors texted and go, "Do you have power?" I'm like, "We're not home. We don't know."
But what had happened was somebody had run their car into the transformer nearby, took out all the power. Wasn't awful.
No, it wasn't. Hours. And it was above freezing by then.
Yeah,
so it wasn't awful.
Wasn't even bad. And then, so we've been getting ready for our move.
Yeah.
We had been living in boxes for about a month, right? Stuff was everywhere. We were doing all the last minute details.
I'm getting ready to go do a show.
Out
of town.
Yep. So Saturday night, before our show, we were leaving early Sunday morning to go do a show Sunday evening in Louisiana.
Yeah.
So we knew we were going to have to get up. So we're like, hey, let's get to bed early so we can get rested.
Yes. Be our best.
Right before going to bed, I look at our washer and dryer, and I'm like, okay, we're going to come home Monday, and then we move Tuesday.
Right.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and unhook the washer and dryer. That way the lines can be empty and dry, and we can be just ready to roll out Tuesday.
Smart idea.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Poor execution. So I go to unhook the hoses for the washer, and the pipe in the wall snaps.
You'd even turn the water off.
I turned the water off. I did. Of course, I did all the stuff I was supposed to do.
Yes.
At least at the connection point.
Yes.
But yeah, so I snapped the pipe in the wall, and all of a sudden, water is
so there's no way to stop
face.
it because it's the pipe coming out that is snapped. So water is gushing everywhere, and I think I had a face mask on at the time.
You did have a face
Funny side note.
Just put a face mask on.
I just put on a face mask, so I looked completely ridiculous. And so then David, like, call maintenance. And you know when you're in panic mode, trying to remember and find a phone number or whatever, because you don't have them memorized like you used to. Everything's on your phone. So then you're trying to find it, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so water's still gushing everywhere, so I'm throwing towels
and I'm
at
trying
you.
to take the
hose.
The exit hose, what do you call the drainage hose, I guess. And I'm trying to shove it up into the pipe and then drain, snake the hose down the drain so it can at least go drain somewhere.
And I'm like,
instead
we
of our
have
apartment.
a smart neighbor. He'll know what to do.
He will know what to do, and he's always helpful.
He's always so helpful. We help each other. He's been a very good neighbor over the few years. So I'm like, I should go run downstairs and knock on his door and get his help. And I'm like, my face, I look completely ridiculous. So I quickly rubbed that off. Well, we still had water as well. Ran downstairs, knock on his door. He's not home.
No.
I'm like, why is this the time he's not home? Ran back upstairs again. We find the phone number and we leave a voice message.
Yep.
Because it's after hours.
It's after hours. Yep. It's about 9:30 at night.
And then so they finally call back and he gives instructions as to how to turn it off.
Yep.
And it is one of the most ridiculous places that is hard to reach. It's like over the top of the hot water heater. And you kind of have to almost use a step ladder and climb up over, contort your body this way and that way to reach down and grab the hose and turn it off. But finally got there and there was just water. Oh, and then our downstairs neighbor knocked at our door and go,
something leaking?
Something going on?
So anyways, it became a really long night that was supposed to be a much shorter night.
It did. And then we had no water the next morning. Which meant we could take showers before our show. I'm like, this isn't going to work. We stink because we've been going all crazy, and David was a drowned rat already. So
terrible.
Thankfully, our hotel let us check in early, so we left at the break of dawn, drove down there, checked in the hotel, took showers, and just walked into the show like nothing ever happened.
Actually, the show went really well.
It did.
They were a great group of people.
Yes.
We had a total blast with them.
Yeah, they were amazing.
Super pleased. It was a lot of fun.
So good. It's great to do shows again in front of a live audience.
Do shows again. Yes, and this week's been awesome because we've been getting some great interest.
We've been booking shows left and right.
We're going to Chicago.
Woohoo! Yeah, finally. Year later.
Yeah, so it's anyways, and then we moved. We came home. We moved.
Yes,
the move went
really
well.
Good.
Yeah. It took us about 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're in our new place. We like it, and
we're getting back to some normalcy.
Yeah, which is nice. Normalcy is good.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't want to wait any longer. I just want to get to our guest.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Yeah.
Okay,
so we're going to get to our guest today. He is an author, a speaker, and as I've said, he is the pastor of a church in the happiest place on earth, cast member church, which he's going to talk about. And again, we're just honored that he decided to join us. So will you guys please welcome our friend and now yours, Mr. Stephen Barr.
Woohoo!
Hello, sir.
Hey, guys.
Good
morning.
It's so
nice to be in your home as the
first
guest in your new home.
You are welcome.
It's an honor to have you.
And it's very dry, I might add. So that's a good thing.
It is. Yes. Anytime your house is dry, that's a good sign.
Thing. Wow.
Yes.
Well,
really appreciate it. How are you all?
We are doing well. Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for joining us. It's an honor to have you.
Oh.
Well,
the pleasure is mine.
I guess we should just get started with the first question, which is our favorite. Could you tell us your faith story? How did you come to know Jesus?
Oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite stories. Mm-hmm. It's I grew up in a Christian home. From the time I was I can remember, we went to church and lived in Springfield, Ohio, and and I learned all the Bible stories, and we had something called junior church, where you know how a service will dismiss some people or dismiss the young people, and we go downstairs into the church basement and have our own music and all. Well, there was a guy named Leland Dooley. I still remember his name. He played the piano. He was an older guy, and he played corny songs, but I just remember his passion for Jesus. Just really not trying to be cool, although this was the 60s. So, I mean, you know, few adults were cool back then. So, but in any case, I remember that, and it stuck with me. And of course, I learned all the Bible stories from my parents and from junior church. But when we moved to Columbus, Ohio, when I was in high school, and a friend of mine invited me to go to a Christian concert. I'd never heard of a Christian concert before. And this was 1978. So this was kind of the tail end of the Jesus movement. This is pre-Amy Grant, pre-Newsboys, all that stuff. So I went to this concert of a group called the Second Chapter of Acts. Not exactly the most catchy names of a group. But people my age would know that they're part of Christian music history. And so I was at that concert, and I didn't realize, even though I knew the stories, I knew of Jesus, I knew about Jesus, I didn't know him as my friend. And they offered the opportunity for you to accept Jesus as your Savior. And something pulled me out of my seat. It was incredible. And I think it was also because I heard the gospel in a modern Christian style with music, and I connected with it. But that was how I came to know Christ. And of course, I went back to my church in Columbus, and I'm telling all my friends, I put my faith in Jesus, and they're kind of looking at me like, okay, I was here, and here I was trying to evangelize my junior church friends. So, but nice. But yeah. So yeah, and what's really funny is 25 years to the day later, my daughter accepted Christ, and so I think we call that a God wink. You know, just his way of kind of winking, saying this is special.
I
love that. Very special.
It's a great story. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I love in particular how you acknowledge that we can go to church but not necessarily know Christ, and it's a huge change when that shift happens in your life.
And sometimes it takes something unique and different to really capture your attention and go, there's something different. Right. Yeah.
We take it for granted sometimes. I think that, and for me personally, I know that a lot of the times our faith is built on knowledge, which is great. I mean, that's, we need to know the scriptures, but until we actually live it out and put it into practice, that's when we see the faith come alive. And for me, it's looking at things differently. I surround myself with people all the time who don't know Jesus, and I love being around them because I can see him at work doing things that even they don't see. And it's fun to highlight that and bring that out. So yeah, I think it's great. We always need to be willing to step out of our comfort zone because God's going to show us something different each time.
Absolutely.
I agree.
I mean, that's the core message of our show, is the fact that we are each created with uniqueness and value because we're created in his image, and every person gets to reflect a piece of that. And I just think I agree with you. That's just one of the coolest things in the world.
Yes.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Well, speaking of coolest things in the world, you may have the best job in the world.
I think so.
You've been in pastoral leadership for many years and are now the lead pastor in the happiest place on earth, the Cast Member Church, which is a church for Disney cast members. Tell us about that, and how did it get started?
Oh my gosh. Cast Member Church, we're in our 10th year, which is amazing to me. But really, it came down to a burden that I had for people that worked I loved Disney. I'd had some experience with Disney in the early 90s working. And I remember one time looking down Main Street, USA from the castle. I was playing keyboards, and I was looking down toward the train station. And I thought to myself, why isn't there a church here for cast members, because obviously cast members work all kinds of bizarre schedules and everything, but there wasn't any kind of way to connect, certainly with Christian community. And I remember that. I remember that plain as day, even now. And but I forgot about it. I mean, at the time, I just kind of went on and ended up in the ministry. And we were planting a church in San Antonio, Texas. Woo, and it was really sad. Yeah. And I had been a worship pastor for 25 years. But I was ready to step into something new, and we were going to plant in one of the creative parts of San Antonio. And as I was doing it, I just felt something wasn't clicking. I mean, I was having fun doing it. I really felt like we were on the right track, but something wasn't clicking. And a friend of mine, one time sitting at a Panera, mentioned, "Why aren't you doing this at Disney?" He says, "You bleed Disney, you breathe Disney. Everything you talk about has this," and it goes all the way back to those years earlier, being a cast member. And I thought that would be incredible. And then I remembered that observation that I had, and I realized that what I saw was an observation was actually a prayer. And that God was answering it almost 25 years later. So it took a year to convince my wife to move to Orlando. She loves San Antonio, Texas. And I, to be honest with you, I didn't convince her. God had to convince her to go. So we moved here about 9 years ago, and we're in our 10th year now. And this church has been built on focusing on cast members who are, the way I would describe, Walt Disney described them as dreamers and doers, people that have a dream and are willing to do something about it. And I thought, boy, can you imagine if Jesus gets a hold of dreamers and doers? I mean, he could change the world through people like that. So we dedicated ourselves to serving the cast members way back then, and we're still doing it today.
That's fantastic.
I love
that. I love that. And I love the breadcrumbs that you can look back on, and you can see that you were slowly being led that direction.
Yeah. And seeing that need there and responding to God's leading and calling, going, these people need you.
Well, and
go ahead. No, I was just going to say that it's it really comes down to being aware and trusting your gut. I mean, God speaks to us. And I mean, you're right. This is like, it is one of the coolest jobs in the world. I didn't say it's easy, but it is one of the coolest jobs. But God wants to use us with our strengths. He wants to use us with our passions. He gives them to us. I always had a passion for Disney, so it doesn't surprise me that we would end up here.
Yeah, combining your two passions, Disney and Jesus.
Oh,
so
the best, the best.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I was looking at your website, and it talks about being more than just pixie dust as far as the church is. So what do you mean by that?
Oh, that's a great question, Kylie. When we first planted Cast Member Church, the idea was it was going to be a normal church. It was going to have it was going to have the Disney sparkle, so to speak, but it was going to be a normal church. But what we realized very, very quickly is that cast members already know the show. You can't. I mean, they're not attracted to lights and great worship music or anything like that, because they live in a world of pixie dust, and it's they're like the man behind the curtain, so to speak. And so we learned very, very quickly that pixie dust isn't real. Now it is real when you're here at Disney. I don't want to break anybody's, Tinkerbell is real. She's real.
Okay, good.
But pixie dust doesn't last. But Jesus offers something so much better than pixie dust, so much better than just a temporary escape. He offers something that's incredibly deep, something wonderful and fulfilling that lasts, that's so much more than pixie dust. And so we, even though we are serving the Disney community of cast members, we are, we know that if we were to try to build on that kind of platform of magic and pixie dust, it wouldn't be as good as what Jesus offers. So, yeah.
that to me is just so brilliant in your thinking. It astonishes
knowing
me.
your community.
Yeah, it astonishes me how many people think if I just take whatever this cool hip thing is right now and put it here, it's going to work. But to recognize that your people are so ingrained in that already, and that that's not necessarily going to appeal to them, that is just so wise on your behalf.
Well, if you think about it, what we learned was our church is focusing on people who don't know Jesus. They have, in fact, the majority of the people in our church have never opened a Bible before in their life. Wow. And so you can't impress someone into the kingdom of God. You just can't. But the one thing that we could offer that Disney couldn't was authentic relationship, was to be able to actually be there and see them for who they were, see them as God saw them, and look at their brokenness and confess our brokenness and say, hey, we're all a mess, but look what Jesus can do. And that's what turned the corner for us. And so our church, we will never own a building. There's no need for it. Okay. We don't have a big budget. There's no need for it. And we don't have a large staff. There's no need for it. And yet we have served over 1,000 cast members in the process. So it's been amazing. And it shows you that Jesus can do a lot with a little.
Yeah.
So you're in more than just Orlando, aren't you?
We are on 6 continents now.
How does that all work then? How do you reach everybody?
Of all, we can thank COVID for all of this.
Yeah.
But I just realized my ears are too small for my.
Oh.
I don't want you to think I have itchy ears or something like that. It's just like for some reason.
You can thank COVID for that too, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just
blame
COVID
that
out there. When Disney closed, in fact, it'll be 3 days from now, it'll be a year ago that Disney was going to close for 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Right.
And it changed everything. And of course, it stayed closed for a long time. And all of our cast members went home. And we have been focusing on international cast members, especially those that work in Epcot, in World Showcase. And suddenly they were sent home. And we went from this really vibrant community of people. It was exciting and watching the Lord work in powerful ways to zero, literally zero. And I remember getting out of bed one day thinking, what are we going to do? I don't know what we're going to do. And we just simply started reaching out saying, who would like to meet online and just connect? And I thought it would be a one-off, just, hang out, catch up. How are you doing? Are you doing okay? Right. Well, that was a year ago. And now we're still meeting online with people all over the world.
All over the world.
I love that.
Cast members from all over the world.
So fantastic.
Wow.
So fantastic.
Yeah. And we're not gonna go back. We'll continue to focus on Orlando. Yeah. But I could say with it, once we were a local church with an online community. Well, now I can say we're an online church with a local community. So
nice.
It's great. So we have COVID to thank for that.
There you go.
So is the time difference a little strange for everybody since you're worldwide?
Yeah. Europe is okay. They're, England is 5 hours ahead of us and 6 hours for Italy and Germany. Right. But boy, when you start talking Hong Kong and Australia,
exactly.
Wow. I mean, it's Hong Kong is 12 hours and Australia is 14 hours ahead of us.
15, yeah.
And oh my gosh, it's crazy. There's some bizarre times that we meet, but it's worth it. It's always worth it.
Very cool.
So cool.
Whew.
Yeah. Love it. Well, you are also the author of a book called A Guide to a Life Beyond Imagination. Tell us about that one.
That was it's really funny. I never considered myself an author, and but we had started developing all these really simple tools to use to help make disciples. And I'm a visual thinker, so I would draw things for people and just kind of, remember, we're focusing on people who don't have a relationship with Jesus. So it had to be really simple. And I started realizing that we've got a lot of different things that God has given to us to help people. So someone approached me and asked if I would write a book. And after some convincing, I gave it a shot. And so it's a book that really helps people learn how to hear Jesus clearly and how to find the courage to follow him to embrace those dares that come along in our faith, and how to walk confidently and how to keep moving forward and really make a difference in the world. God calls us to live an adventure. Life is, he did not create us to live a boring life. Yeah. But we have to be willing to step out, and we've got to be willing to embrace that adventure. And that's scary. So I wrote a book that kind of inspires you with practical tools to live that kind of a life. And I was really pleasantly surprised that there are people out there that want to embrace that kind of a journey. And so it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Good. Sorry, we've got somebody at our door apparently.
Okay. Well,
that sounds like a fantastic book. And Josh Kohler, who's one of our regulars, is always good about making sure that people can get access to that book. So
look at that. Thank you, Josh.
He is always on top of things. And I'm going to have to pick that up myself. That sounds fantastic. Well, and I saw that you've got another book coming out soon. Is that correct?
Yes. I just started working on it. It's right now, I think the title is going to be called Kingdom Influence. Of course, that's what I want to call it, but who knows what the publisher will call it. Yeah. But the idea is, I believe that every follower of Jesus has the opportunity to be an influencer for the kingdom. I don't care what you do. So often we put ministry in the hands of professionals, in the hands of pastors, and in the hands, and that is not what the Bible teaches. The Bible teaches that every person can have a kingdom influence. And so we've discovered maybe I should say uncovered 3 proven keys to living a life of kingdom influence wherever you are. 3 proven keys. Anyone can do it if they lean into these 3 keys, and you can actually see Jesus at work, not only in you, but through you and around you. And so it's not going to be a big book. I want it to be something that you can read in one sitting, but read it over and over and over again. And I truly believe, first of all, they're proven keys. We do them here at Disney, and it works. It truly works. And so I want to be able to, again, put courage and confidence in the hands of everyday people to live for Jesus in a way that's not weird, that's not that doesn't put people off, but actually engages and creates an environment where Jesus can work through us.
Ah, that's brilliant. I absolutely love that. That's going to be another amazing book. I know.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'll bet. And I hear there's a pretty fast timetable on that one too. Okay.
We're looking at it should be on Amazon and in bookstores in September.
Oh, nice! That's fantastic. Very exciting.
So be looking for that, guys.
Right.
Well, you have given some so we've got a question here from Josh Kohler, which is actually a really great question.
Yes.
Are those photos in Stephen's background cast members or family members? Well, I guess technically they're both.
Yeah, I was going to say yes. Yes, they are. Yeah, they're cast members on 6 different continents. They are, every single one of them is, I'll get emotional if I start talking about them too much. But every single one of them is precious to my wife and I. And, but you have everyone from Morocco to Brisbane to the UK, Rome, Munich. Like I said, 6 continents. Maybe one day Antarctica. Who knows? But yeah. That's
amazing.
They are family.
That's beautiful.
They are family. For me, it's kind of funny. I know. Some pastors have books on their shelves and all, and which is great. I have books too, but I'm most proud of the kids on my wall.
Aww. I
love them with all my heart.
I love that. Well, you've given us some really great answers to some deep questions. But we're going to shift gears now and go into our lightning round that we call 5 questions.
All right, first question. What are you binge watching right now, Stephen?
I binge watch anything that's British. We have something called BritBox, which is like the Netflix for British TV shows.
Oh.
And so my wife and I are right now binging a show called Grantchester. It doesn't sound very exciting, but it's actually it's about the story of a local vicar, pastor, who lives in a community of interesting people, and he also, are you ready for this? Helps solve crimes. So
so is it the story of your life? Is that?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's cute. It's really cute, and it's addictive. And unfortunately, we're on the last season.
Oh,
and
no.
I know, it's doing that countdown of 3 more episodes, 2 more episodes.
And then what are you going to do after that?
I know. So, but yeah, and then I go back. I like to binge on shows I've seen before. My favorite show of all time is something called Shetland. It's also a BBC show that takes place in the most northern point of Scotland. Oh. And I love it. Can't stop watching it.
I love it.
Very cool.
Okay, so again, I've said it before, you have the best job in the world, but if you could have any other job than the one you have right now, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. I thought about that, and because I do have, this is my dream job. I will do this for the rest of my life. But, I think I would be a Disney cast member. Oh, I really do.
I was thinking that.
Yeah, I would. My hero is Walt Disney. My non-biblical hero is Walt Disney. And I love being a part of that. I love being part of that dream that he had. So, I would probably be a musician working because I did that years ago and I had a blast, and I would do it again.
Very cool.
Nice. Okay, what is your favorite to-go order?
Okay, I have a list here that it's kind of funny. I love street food. I love. My wife is from Oaxaca, Mexico, and introduced me to Mexican street food. So tacos al pastor would be one of my go-to. Of course, you can't rule out really good Asian street food. There's a restaurant here in Orlando called Hawkers, and they sell the most bizarre-looking foods. But oh my gosh, the flavors are amazing, and that's always good to get to go. So I'm hungry. What time is it?
You're making me really hungry. They did have some really good street food there, didn't they?
Oh, in Asia?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Those candied strawberries that lady sold on the street.
So good.
Yeah, that's the best way to eat it. Just right there in the middle of the culture.
Yep,
right.
I agree. Okay, so what are you reading right now?
I am reading the biography of Mark Davis, who was an Imagineer who worked for Walt Disney. He worked for Walt Disney. He was the original designer of Pirates of the Caribbean, Country Bear Jamboree, some of the earlier Haunted Mansion, some of those things, and just a brilliant creative mind. In fact, the book is so big it takes 2 volumes to read it. But the pictures are amazing. Lots of sketches and things like that of things that Disney never did. But for the first time, you can read the stories behind these attractions that never happened. So I love reading biographies of creative people. And Mark Davis was one of the best.
I'm going to have to look that one up. We those Imagineers are amazingly brilliant people, as you pointed out. One of our magic consultants was an Imagineer for a while, and his mind blows me away.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, I love it.
How do you come up with that?
Those guys. Yeah. Oh, I know, and when you meet them, the Imagineers are so much fun because they're more curious about you than about anything else. That's the key to being an Imagineer, is being curious and learning. And but they're a group of characters, no pun intended. But they are. I mean, you get a group of creative people together like that, you're going to get some really interesting concepts. Mm-hmm. But I love that environment. So that book is really hitting home with me.
Very cool.
Nice. Very cool. Okay, final question. They decide to make a movie of your life. So who plays you?
See, you know what? I would say Michael J. Fox because,
Nice.
yeah, I would say because he's short like I am, and yeah, I don't know why, but he's a funny guy and doesn't take life too serious. At least what I know, and so yeah, I would say Michael J. Fox. Only I would love to have hair. So I guess maybe that would
That's great.
I would. That would be. I can't think of anybody who doesn't have hair that would play me. So, but that's okay.
Well, I think Michael J. Fox is a great choice.
I think so too.
I love it. He's a good actor.
Very good.
He can do a good job.
He's a good guy. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, Stephen, we thank you so much for joining us this morning. This was a true pleasure and an honor, and I know our audience got a lot out of it. I hope you enjoyed it as well, and we look forward to catching up with you either virtually or maybe if we get out to
we would love
Orlando
that.
sometime.
We'll eat some street food with you.
Oh my gosh, I would love for you to come over. I guess come over and and experience what God is doing here. It's a real honor to share it with people.
Awesome.
Sounds
well, thanks
great.
so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Well, that was fantastic. It was everything
incredible.
I hoped for.
It's magical.
It is magical. Yeah, I think we could keep talking to him and probably bring him back at some point.
I'm sure we
he's
could.
Fantastic. So next week we have another youth pastor friend of ours, Ryan Reed, who has recently started. He's got a couple things going on. One thing that drew our attention to him is he has a podcast about Psych, the TV show. So we will be talking about that for sure.
Should be really good.
Yeah. Anything else going on this weekend that we need to let them know about?
I think that's all we got.
Time goes forward this weekend.
Oh,
Don't forget.
Right. We
Set
lose
your clocks.
An hour.
I'm preaching this weekend at our church.
We've always got something going on the Sunday of like the spring forward.
Yes, of course.
We're usually doing a show, you're preaching, we've got something happening. So
something.
It sounds about right.
Yeah, we can't sleep in. So anyways, we look forward to seeing you guys next week. And thanks so much for joining us today.
Have a great week. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.